en route to winning the 2005 middleweight Grand Prix. Hua then made the move up to light heavyweight and quickly established himself as one of the best in the world at 205 pounds. After joining the UFC in 2007, Shogun continued to add to his list of high-profile scalps. And in May 2010, he cemented his legendary status, claiming UFC gold in spectacular fashion against compatriot Lyoto Machida. Despite losing the belt to current champion John Jones, another impressive finish kept Hua in contention. However, his route to another title shot was blocked by a fellow MMA icon. A former Olympic wrestler with one-punch knockout power, Dan Henderson has been a force at the top of the sport for a remarkable 17 years. The American's success has been based on his amazing physicality and much vaunted right hand. Hendo made his UFC debut in May 1998 and immediately claimed his first title with victory in the middleweight tournament. He then added more honours in Pride, beating some of the very best in the business to secure both the middleweight and welterweight belts. It was also during his time in Japan that Henderson had his first run-in with the Hua family, as he overpowered Mauricio's older brother Murillo at Pride 17. The Californian continued to be matched up against the elite on his return to the Octagon in 2007, but it was a move to Strikeforce that saw him become one of the most decorated fighters in the history of the sport, adding the promotion's light heavyweight title to his long list of accolades. Henderson's spell in Strikeforce ended with an incredible victory over a true MMA legend.
Henderson! Stopping Fedor Emelianenko in the first round!
And in November 2011, he began his third UFC stint, facing Shogun Hua in a #1 contender clash. It would be a fight that fans would never forget.
Shogun's covering up. He's standing right in front of him. Shogun is a bloody mess already. Big right hand, uppercut. Huge uppercut. Man, this is crazy. Oh, big right hand. Henderson looking to finish the fight. What a warrior Shogun is. Getting shot by Shogun. Hands in trouble. Full mouth for Shogun. Shogun trying to finish it here. Henderson looking to survive. Unbelievable fight. They go the distance. 55 minutes.
Unanimous decision. Dan Henderson!
Despite emerging victorious from that fight of the year, a knee injury robbed Henderson of the title shot he'd earned. He then came out on the wrong side of two close split decisions before falling victim to the in-form Vitor Belfort. However, the signing of a new 6-fight contract reflects the importance Henderson still has to the UFC, and he'll be determined to make the most of this opportunity. Shogun too has been inconsistent of late, but against James Tahuna, he silenced any talk about his possible demise. At 32 years of age, Hua still has time to mount another title challenge, and getting revenge against Hendo will add further motivation. Expect another thrilling encounter in Natal this weekend, when these two legends collide once more. Wow, Christian, the staggering power of those two men is just incredible, isn't it?
It's a full card as well.
It is. Ronnie Yates and Steven Seiler there, heading up the main card. Michel Prazeres against Marbek Tasimov. This is one I'm looking forward to. Fabio Maldonado, Gian Villante, Leonardo Santos and Norman Park from Northern Ireland, Cesar Ferreira
against CB Dollaway, and headlining there, of course, Mauricio Shogun Rua against Dan Henderson. Dan Hardy, that is.
Dan to Dan.
Look, their records here reflect the kind of longevity of their careers and what they've achieved. And as we saw there, these guys both knock people out, and yet they went 5 rounds together in that first fight. It was just incredible.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And they're both such devastating finishers as well. It's kind of surprising that it did go the distance.
Do you think it will do again?
I don't know. I mean, but, you know, both guys have taken big shots in the last few fights, and I don't know. I wouldn't like to see the guy go out, you know, in a bad way, but it's going to be a tough fight for both of them, I think.
The weird thing is Shogun blows hot and he blows cold,
yeah.
and Dan Henderson is on a 0-3. He's on a 3-fight skid at the moment. Really important for him to win. He's just signed a new 6-fight deal with the UFC. The thing is about these two guys, this is a real fun fight in a sense.
Yeah.
For us, anyway.
It is for the fans,
it's a fun
definitely.
fight at light heavyweight, because these guys are both extraordinary legends in the sport.
Yeah.
You know, we saw...
They've got legacy, yeah.
Oh, God, Dan Henderson, he's beaten Fedor Emelianenko. Those kind of things. You know, here he is years ago against Vanderlei Silva. This is back in Pride in the day.
Yeah.
He has been around so long. Extraordinary talent, knocking out Michael Bisping, of course, there, UFC 100. What I do think in this contest is... It's weird, when guys have a brilliant first fight and then they have a second fight, sometimes it's not till the trilogy fight that historically it leads to a great battle. Yeah. But what I will say is both men here are hovering 7 and 8 in the light heavyweight division. The problem for both of them is that the Alex Gustafsson, Daniel Cormier are the likely guys to face if John Jones beats Glover Teixeira. They're the guys likely to face John Jones or the champion next. So, in a sense, the division's already got its contenders for almost a year.
Yeah. They're almost disconnected from the division as well, because, you know, they are kind of aging a bit, they're slowing down, and they are towards the end of their careers. And as exciting as they both are, I don't really see either of them contending for a title, you know, at least in the near future. Even in the top 10 against some of those guys.
Let's have a look at Shogun action now. We've got some of his knockouts. Such an explosive fighter. Here's the Iceman. Hammer fists.
I just can't see the rematch being boring though. Neither of these guys have got any other speed other than, you know, forward at full speed. You know, Dan Henderson's a huge puncher. He's very confident in his punching power and his takedown defense. And Shogun just tries to finish with everything he throws. And he's a very, very smart fighter about how he puts things together as well. He's very, very versatile in his attacks, and he transitions seamlessly from striking on the feet to striking on the ground, and that's usually where he catches people.
But for me, this new generation with John Jones and Alex Gustafsson, Glover Teixeira to a certain extent, but Daniel Cormier, they are a new generation of fighters. And, you know, he's a young man with a lot of miles on the clock. That's the thing.
And they've been in some big wars as well.
Yeah.
Wars.
Against Gustafsson, Shogun had a great fight against Gustafsson. Took a lot of punches, landed a lot at the same time.
A lot of right crosses, didn't he? Straight rights. He landed a lot against Gustafsson. Gustafsson ate them like sandwiches, didn't he?
I love that. Ate them like sandwiches. You mentioned Norman Park. Another man to watch?
Oh, definitely. You know, he's up against a tough guy in Leonardo Santos. They're both tough winners, remember, these guys. Leonardo Santos won against William Macario. What I like about Norman, we saw him winning against Colin Fletcher in the tough finale there. You know what I love about Norman Park? It's kind of slightly under the radar. Conor McGregor has stolen all the headlines from Ireland in recent times. He makes a lot more noise.
But he's not the only fighter out there to watch.
Exactly. Norman Park's 3-0 in the UFC. There he was there against John Tuck in Manchester in October. That was a phenomenal performance. You know how good Tuck is, Dan, and he clinically outstruck him. It was a brilliant performance. I think we're going to see a lot of Norman Park, and if he wins in Brazil, that is a massive plus.
OK, let's also talk about CB Dollaway. He's also fighting as well.
Yeah, you know, good middleweight fight there, but it's the fight under Jan Villante. Wow. Here's, you know, we see CB Dollaway, but for me, the real banging match, Fabio Maldonado against Jan Villante. They're both knockout artists. That's the fight I'm looking forward to seeing on the main card, because there's going to be a knockout one way or the other in that fight, I guarantee you.
Which do you think is going to be fight of the night out of all of them? Do you think the rematch can live up to the hype?
I think it's going to be a tough one to beat for everybody on the card. I mean, Norman Park might pull it out.
Exactly.
I think he's a very, very aggressive fighter. He's got great hands, and he he comes to win.
What I like about him, he's got the judo background as well. So he's not only is he brilliant in his Muay Thai and kickboxing, he's great with his judo, which he's got that ground game as a basis anyway. And I think he'll have a real battle with Santos, and I really hope that Norman does get a fight tonight. I'm picking this guy to be a big thing in the division, and maybe Ross Pearson against him in a tough series, England and Ireland.
Oh. That would be a great idea. Really good idea. Do you not think with sport at the moment, virtually every weekend or every week, there's another fantastic fight card?
It's difficult to keep up. I mean, it's my job now to be a fan, and it's difficult to keep up. There are so many good fighters out there.
You'll probably know the stats now. That it feels like there have always been more fights already. We're, the middle of March than all of last year. There are so
there have
many
been 60
fights
already.
Now. Is that what it is?
No, I'm joking. No, but it does feel like that. No, I know it myself because you're working on it. I've never have a weekend off, basically.
OK, thank you very much for the tweets coming in tonight. We asked you for your dream tag team matchups. What do you think of some of these, then? Luke Barnett and Brad Pickett as a team taken on in the Octagon, Chris Weidman and Demetrius Johnson.
I think you need to ask Luke Barnett about that. He might want to wait a little while.
OK, another one here coming on Twitter. Misha Tate and Brian Caraway taking on Ronda and Nick Diaz.
I didn't know they were a couple.
Well, according to this guy,
Ronda
they are.
And Nick.
That is breaking news.
Is that Ronda or Nick Diaz?
I'm not sure.
Brilliant.
I think Nick will just fight himself and everybody else. What about this one, then? The Fertitta brothers taking on the Diaz brothers.
My money's on Lorenzo.
Yeah, me
Really?
too. Yeah, Fertitta's
He's
to
the
win.
Batman.
Frank's very aggressive.
Yeah.
Against the Diaz brothers.
Lorenzo's the real-life Batman. He's the real-life Bruce Wayne.
OK, just time for one last one. UFC match for me would be GSP and Bisping versus Silva and John Jones. That's all we got time for tonight. Dan Hardy, you're always the best guest we get on. Thank you very much. Gareth, well done. Just to remind you then, you can catch all the action live on BT Sport 2 Sunday night. Good night.